degree, bachelor's degree from a 4-year university. Okay, now that was a record number, but the problem is where are they going to work? Because they've been trained to go to work for somebody else, and we haven't created businesses for them to work in. So what's going to happen to them? Okay. Another thing, we have another reason why we have to create businesses for ourselves is right now you have about 2.3 million people in prison in the U.S. 2.3 million. Now, African Americans make up somewhere between 41 million and 45 million. We make up 50% of the U.S. prison population. It's about a million. 96% of those in prison are African American men. What happens when they come back home? We call them returning citizens. I actually worked with returning citizens. With the consulting company I worked for, we did a lot of work with Wayne County Community College. We headed up the No Worker Left Behind Resource Center at Wayne County Community College. Some of you all may have come out to some of the events that we had. But we had special programs like a construction trades program that we put together for returning citizens and underserved populations, things of that nature. If we don't create businesses that employ these brothers and sisters, when they come back home, they're going right back. And if one thing we have to understand is that prison is the new slavery, but at the same time, it's not really new. Because if you read Black Labor, White Wealth, if you look at states like Massachusetts, back in about 1836, African Americans, okay, we were enslaved at the time, of course. Some people don't remember, some people don't understand the timeline, but you had about 2% of African Americans in Massachusetts were free, but we made up somewhere around 36% of that prison population in Massachusetts. Okay, so we had a disproportionate amount of us in prison back then. We have a disproportionate amount of us in prison right now. Okay, so nothing has really changed. And contrary to popular belief, even though Barack Obama is the president right now, and I love Barack, but at the same time, I'm not stupid. I understand the unseen hand. I'm not going to love some things he's going to be forced to do. Okay? But, say it again. Oh, what did you say? I missed a question.
And some of the things he's already done.
Some of the things he's already done. Exactly, Brother Malik. But, what'd you say? Say it again. Oh, no, I'm not beating up on him. I just understand the whole program. Let me give you an example. Who knows who Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski is? I know Malik knows. Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski is the author of he was the head of the Trilateral Commission. He's the author of National Security Council Memorandum number 46. National Security Council Memorandum number 46 came out of Jimmy Carter's administration. Stated 3 things. Number 1, it stated that African Americans should never be allowed to unite in this country. Stated that Africans on the continent of Africa should never be allowed to unite. And it stated that African Americans in America and Africans on the continent of Africa should never be allowed to come together and unite. Okay, now he authored this. Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski was one of the chief advisors to Barack Obama. Okay, now I don't know how many of you all knew that, but you have to do some research. Okay, you know, now I'm not putting down Barack. I love Barack, but at the same time, we got to understand he's going to be put in positions and have to make decisions on things we have no idea about. One of them is AFRICOM. That's right. Go to africom.mil. AFRICOM is the attempt. Now this started in 2007. AFRICOM is not something that Barack started. Okay, but Hillary Clinton is the head of it. There's an African American general who is under Hillary in this initiative, and it's an initiative to control the resources of all the countries in Africa except Egypt, because they really don't consider Egypt part of Africa. Because they really consider it part of the Middle East. Okay, so we have to do our homework on that. All right, but I don't want to. But I digress. As Tavis Smiley says. Recently, we had a couple of. Let me put this up for a second. Recently, we had a couple of articles talking about the high unemployment rate in Detroit. Did you all see those articles? There was an article that I printed up. How many of you all listen to the Times on the Morning Show? Maybe wrong audience, I don't know. I know they talked about it. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. But how many of you all are on blackamericaweb.com? How many of you all go to that website? Okay, write down that website. That's an excellent, excellent resource, blackamericaweb.com. It was created by Tom Joyner and Roland Martin. Roland Martin is an African-American contributor to CNN. He's the editor, I think he's still editor of the Chicago Defender and some other African-American magazines, newspapers. But they have a lot of resources on there, a lot of news for us. But there was an article that came out November 30th of this year, so just about a month ago. It was entitled, Black Unemployment Up to Nearly 35%. Okay, talking about in the U.S. You can print this article, you can Google this article, print it up for yourself. They talk about how for black men between 16 and 24, the unemployment rate is 34%. Black women between 16 and 24, 26%, what have you. Then they go on to quote some African Americans from the NAACP and some other organizations and how they're teaming up with La Raza, which is a Hispanic organization, one of the largest Hispanic organizations, how they're teaming up with them to put pressure on Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, to create employment opportunities for African Americans. Now, I read this article when it came out, and I read it again last night, and I read through it 2 or 3 times. And the most amazing thing about the article, well, one of them, let me tell you this right quick. There was this gentleman from who writes in the Washington Post. His name is Deval Pager. He's a Princeton University sociology professor. He studied young black and white male applicants in Milwaukee and New York, and he told the Washington Post that black men with a clean record, prison record, criminal record, fare no better than white men just released from prison. Okay? Now this is a university professor stating this to the Washington Post. But I'm not sure. I'll Google his name and find out. Email me and I'll let you know. I'll find out for you. But the most amazing thing about this article is what it didn't say. Nowhere in the article did it talk about African Americans creating business opportunities for ourselves so we can employ our own people. And see, that is the mentality that we've been indoctrinated with. That's what we have to change. That's why we have to reclaim our culture and history. You know, as Dr. Leonard Jeffries talks about, culture lays your foundation and influences your economics and your politics. Culture tells you what to do with your money, how to spend your money, okay, where to invest your money. All right, so what's happened is that every 1st and the 15th of the month, we get cut with a double-edged sword. See, we get our paycheck that we used our intellectual capital for to earn. And then we take that money, since we haven't created businesses for ourselves, we take that money and spend that money with people that don't look like us. So we're getting cut with a double-edged sword every 1st and the 15th, okay? Let's see. All right, so I definitely wanted to share that with you. I want to share a few resources with you as well. If somebody could prompt me how I'm doing on time, because time flies when you're having fun. Okay, I got 5 minutes? Okay, all right. When I said that we're not making any progress, I didn't mean to say that to discount the efforts that we made during the civil rights movement to make progress and things like that. But one of the biggest mistakes that we ever made was to equate equal rights with equality. Okay, because see, equal rights, even though it's important, if we spend our tax dollars, we should have the same rights as other people. I'm not saying the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65 is not important. But at the same time, while every other ethnic group in America is fighting for wealth and power and resources, trying to control the economics in their own community so that they can employ people in their own community, at the same time, our leaders were teaching us to fight for equality and go out and get jobs. Okay? So we have to understand that we have to understand the dichotomy there. We have to understand the difference there. And if you are teaching your people to go out and get jobs, and they aren't being taught to create jobs, then what you're doing is making them more dependent upon the same people who were just Jim Crow and they were segregating them just the day before. And that's the situation we're in right now. Okay? About 70% of African Americans work in some form of government. Okay, whether it's city, state, local, federal.